Students are facing unique challenges this summer due to the pandemic. At the same time, many are wondering how they can help in the fight against COVID-19. So today, we're launching the new Canada Student Service Grant, which will allow post-secondary students and recent grads to gain valuable experience while also contributing to their communities.
Earlier today, the Prime Minister there launched a grant program that will allow post-secondary students looking for work this summer to receive up to $5,000 for volunteering. The Canada Student Service Grant was first announced back in April. It'll be available for volunteer work done from June 25th to September 18th in $1,000 increments for every 100 hours worked. Will it help students who can't find summer jobs, or are the details coming too late? Minister Bardhish Chagger is the Federal Minister of Diversity, Inclusion and Youth. She joins us now from Parliament Hill. Hi, Minister Chagger. Good to see you.
It's great to be here, Vashi.
Appreciate you making time. I want to start off on the grant. Does this program, why, first of all, does this program start nearly 2 months after people were basically done school? And in effect, the work that they did, let's say the volunteer hours they put in May, won't count towards any kind of compensation they can get.
I think what you validate is that there are young people across the country stepping up, rolling up their sleeves, and giving back to communities to help heal communities. So the Canada Student Service Grant is an opportunity for not-for-profits that have really had an increase in the demand for their services to use the skill sets of young people as volunteers because of the tasks that would be assigned, to pair them up and then provide opportunities to young people to not only give back and heal their communities, but to be able to receive a grant. So the website was launched today, I Want to Help portal. Amazing news, over 3,000 applications have already been submitted, which means there are more young people that want to be engaged, and not-for-profits can continue submitting volunteer positions so that they can connect with other youth in their communities.
That's all great news, Minister, but respectfully, it doesn't answer the question. You first announced the program on April 22nd, I believe the Prime Minister announced it. Why wasn't it made available any earlier so that people who were volunteering in May and June could actually have that count towards what they earn?
So just a slight correction, the program is open today, so young people can go to the website, as could not-for-profits. It's available until October 31st. And why was there a delay? There was a delay because we want to ensure that the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. It was important that there be meaningful opportunities on that website for volunteer positions, as well as ensuring that the safety requirements within the COVID-19 context would be met. So that's why it was important that we work with not-for-profits. We Charities is the organization that we are working with to ensure that all the checks and balances are in place, including making sure not-for-profits are able to track hours and make sure that there are volunteer service opportunities for young people. Also to record and audit the hours being done, because there will be a grant given to young people at the end of that service. So it really was to ensure that the website was up and running, to make it as close to perfect as possible, and making sure that it was entirely accessible, fluently bilingual, and available to young people, students from coast to coast to coast.
Okay, I take that point. My apologies. I was basing the dates on what I heard from the Prime Minister in his remarks this morning, but I must have got it mixed up. Even if it does last until, I think you said, the end of October, there are kids are going back to school, right, in September, so they probably won't be able to accrue the number of hours volunteering that they would have in May and June.
And very valid point, and that's why it's important to note that the Canada Student Service Grant, the suite of programs, first of all, I should say, available to young people are stackable. So if you're receiving the Canada Emergency Student Benefit, you're also able to volunteer and be able to gain a grant for giving back to your community and helping to strengthen our community during this very unprecedented and challenging time. And when it comes to Canada Summer Jobs, we have 70,000 jobs that have been posted on jobbank.gc.ca. Today, Minister Qualtrough announced an addition of 10,000 jobs that will be posted. And based on the requirements for the Canada Emergency Student Benefit, if students are making up to $1,000, they could be working part-time, they could be obtaining the benefit, the Canada Emergency Student Benefit, as well as participating in the Canada Student Service Grant. So there is ample opportunities for young people to ensure that they actually have the financial means when they are returning to school in the fall.
What you just laid out was all part of a big announcement, I think worth $9 billion on April 22nd. Another part of that announcement was promising to create up to 70,000 jobs for people between 15 and 30 through the Canada Summer Jobs program. How many of those jobs have been created?
So as Minister Qualtrough mentioned today, it's a program that's been oversubscribed. So 70,000 applications or jobs have been created. And because it's oversubscribed, today Minister Qualtrough announced the addition of 10,000 more jobs.
And how many of those, like those have all been approved, all the 70,000? Because I was reading and a bunch of articles had popped up in the past few weeks from particularly reporting on farmers who were waiting anxiously saying, I could have been employing people for the last 6 weeks, but I know the deadline was May 22nd, I think, and they had gotten in their applications earlier. Anyway, they were waiting to see, and they felt like they had been waiting a long time to see if their applications had been approved. What is the status? Is that 70,000 approved?
So 70,000 jobs as of this past Friday have been posted on jobbank.gc.ca. I think it's also important to note when it comes to agriculture and farmers that there is another stream of job opportunities that Minister Bibeau had announced. So there is a slight difference between the Canada Summer Jobs, which are often for not-for-profit summer camps, small businesses to create opportunities within communities, but there was an additional stream that was provided when it came to farmers, recognizing that there was young people wanting to step up and be able to contribute to ensure that our country had the food security that we need.
Okay, I want to switch gears and ask about another aspect of your portfolio, diversity. I was listening to you testify before the Senate today on the government's role in addressing anti-Black and anti-Indigenous racism and ending systemic racism in Canada. And I wanted to in particular ask you about the role of government in all of that. I had Minister Duclos on the show the other day, and I was asking him about a tweet over the weekend in which, it was the government celebrating Public Service Week, and all the public servants pictured were white. And it had been taken down and apologized. And the minister was insistent that that is not reflective of the kind of public service that your government wants to achieve. I challenged him, though, on what actually exists, the level of diversity in the public service that actually exists. And he committed to eventually having targets that Canadians can hold your government accountable to in that area. When are those targets coming, Minister?
And I think that it's excellent to hear, and it really does speak to the fact that it is a whole of government approach. If we really do want to combat systemic racism, which exists within our institutions and agencies, for the work that I am doing as the Minister of Diversity and Inclusion in Youth, I am working with the anti-racism strategy that was created by Canadians, informed also by Black Canadians, Indigenous Canadians, and racialized Canadians, minority groups and religious minorities, to make sure that there was a program and a plan that worked for Canadians, made by Canadians. And part of that was actually setting up the Anti-Racism Secretariat. And it's a resource for federal departments and agencies, as well as Canadians, to be able to utilize so that our policies, anything that we're putting out, actually reflects the diversity of our country, and that those lenses are being applied, because we have to push to do better. My focus is on working with all departments and agencies, making sure that resources are available, and that we're also working with communities, because they would know best what it would require to overcome some of these challenges. What's unfortunate is when we don't see the level of commitment from everyone. What you do have from every single federal minister, with the leadership of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, is a commitment that all federal departments and agencies will be stepping up to ensure that we are seeing the change. So I'm focused on actions and outcomes. And I just want to mention on the anti-racism strategy, the first pillar is federal leadership. And today I understand the statement came out that was penned by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, as well as premiers from across the country, which tells you that he is having these conversations at the First Minister's meetings, because it's important that every Canadian, every province and territory step up. If we truly desire an inclusive Canada, it will take every single one of us looking at the spaces that we occupy and making that difference. At a federal level, I can assure you that my focus is on working with everyone to ensure that we have outcomes, actions, and I'll get back to you on the targets.
Yeah, I will challenge you, though, on the same point that I challenged Minister Duclos, because what I consistently hear from a number of Canadians who reach out is, knowing that I'm going to be interviewing people from the government, is they are pleased to see the language that you're using. They are pleased to hear that the government says we have to do better and we will do better. But they are worried about a lack of specifics to back those words up. You can't provide me with any targets right now. When I look at the public servants, if you look at senior civil servants, I'm going to read something now. The number coming from diverse backgrounds is still less than 10% of the total. That's of deputy and associate deputy ministers. It's so low that the Privy Council office won't release the figures to CBC, arguing it would compromise privacy rights. If you can't give me the targets now, when will you?
So what I will tell you is that since we took office in 2015, we have brought in, for GICs, government and council appointments, an open, transparent, merit-based appointment process. Within our own institutions in the public service, I can assure you that when it comes to Parliamentary Secretary Omar Alghabra, he is tasked with this responsibility of working with the public service. I can assure you that we did a good job with gender with the first 4 years. When I was asked to take on the responsibilities as diversity and inclusion in youth, the one thing I asked of the Prime Minister was to ensure that this was part of my public mandate. So you will see that it is stated in my public mandate letter, and I am committed to ensuring that I work with departments and agencies not only to bring in diversity, but ensuring that people of diverse backgrounds are able to accelerate, to ensure that the decision-making table is representative of the diversity of country, and when that table is not representative, to ensure that it's being informed at minimum by lived experiences. And
but the point, Minister, I apologize for interrupting, but the point is it's not reflective right now, and your government has had 5 years to make it reflective. And
this is actually going to take a lot more than 5 years. These issues are rooted in the history of our country, in the foundation. They are ingrained in our institutions. What's taking place right now is a commitment by many more Canadians than I've ever seen, saying enough is enough and something needs to be done. When we came into office in 2015, and then when we returned in 2019, we brought a full voice to the cabinet table, understanding that important work needs to be done. The commitments we've made to Black Canadians, to Indigenous communities, to Canadians and the diversity of it are values that we truly believe in. For Canada to succeed, to be better, to be stronger and more prosperous, every Canadian needs to succeed. And that's why I'm no longer debating if systemic racism or systemic discrimination exists within our institutions. I'm telling you point blank, it does. As the Prime Minister said, it's present in every corner of our country. And that's why it's really important that we take an informed approach. The processes we've had in place in the past that have not been informed by lived experiences or the table representing the diversity of the country are not going to deliver different outcomes. So this is really a matter of deconstructing our institutions, dismantling them, and actually looking at where do we have opportunities, what is working, and then how do we improve and chart a way forward.
Respectfully, Minister, I'm not debating whether systemic racism exists either. I'm asking you when you're going to do the stuff you're promising to do.
So I'll tell you once again, it's not just about targets. We have to look at the people who are hiring. We have to look at where are we recruiting people for the public service. These are all questions that I'm asking and I'm asking for information on. Even when it comes to grants and contributions, who's applying, who's making it through, who's actually receiving them. Every single segment of our public service and of our departments and agencies, it's important that we actually take that whole of government approach. It is a public commitment by our government, and one that I'm looking forward to working with everyone to deliver on. As I've said, I'm focused on actions and outcomes, and I look forward to coming back and talking to you, Vashi, about some of the more of the work that we're doing.
I look forward to that too. Thank you, Minister Chagger. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.